You already know the answers within. It's a phrase that is used particularly amongst spiritual circles and anything to do with esoteric, Kundalini rising, Christ consciousness. All different labels for basically the same thing. But what does it mean? Because I remember hearing this and thinking, well, that sounds daft. How could I know all the answers inside? Because of course the conscious mind is thinking in terms of details. The devil's always in the detail. Have I got to remember every minute detail about every little thing, about every conspiracy theory? Never mind starting going down doing the internal work. That's just on the external. So we need to look at this in a different way. Because I feel this is something that really does need to be explained. You have two hemispheres to the brain. You have what is called the conscious mind and the subconscious mind. Now the subconscious is basically recording everything non-stop. But of course the conscious mind is not aware of it. The conscious mind is always trying to go out there, trying to solve things. It's looking for things. Well, it creates problems to solve. The balance within oneself is completely off. It's what is referred to as that divine union, the joining of the two hemispheres, the conscious and the subconscious. So they are working in perfect dialogue with each other. It's not about knowing anything. It's not about thinking. That other often quoted saying, to know everything is to know nothing is to know everything. That's exactly what it is. And I am saying this from a point of experience. Because after a while it becomes recognizable. You may just had a thought and you don't know the answer. But then all of a sudden, a song that you haven't thought of for a long time will just come back into your mind. That's a clue being given to you by the subconscious. Now it's the dialogue between the conscious and the subconscious that is important here. How you phrase things inside yourself. So for example, I want a Ferrari. No, I don't actually want a Ferrari. I'm using this as an analogy. Just a simple analogy because I think it's something that's quite relatable with a lot of people. You may well have had that sort of dream aspiration because it looked good at one point. But what does the subconscious actually hear from that? The subconscious doesn't know what a Ferrari is for a start. What it'll actually hear is I want. The subconscious is it's not a servant. It's like an ever-loving wife, an ever-loving partner. What the conscious requires, based on how it is communicated across to the subconscious, will respond. And if it hears I want, okay, you want more feeling of want, because the communication and the true sight is all in feeling. Only you inside yourself know how you feel. That is the key. The secret is in the feeling. This is something Neville Goddard talks about. You can't export that feeling. You can't transport it and give it to somebody else. It is something that is individual to each and every one of us. Nobody else knows how you feel. Try and describe how you feel in any moment. You'll use all sorts of words, just like I'm using all sorts of words here. But it doesn't get to the essence because words are totally inadequate to express feeling. Feeling is way beyond. You'd actually stand a better chance taking a piece of art, something that's just pure sound music, and you'll probably get more from the feeling in that music that will be a better descriptor than words ever can be. So it's the meeting of the minds, the two halves, how you come together with inside yourself. And of course, there's another part to this. Well, there's actually more than one part to this. There's the gut feeling. See, there's the word feeling again. But between the mind and the gut, what's halfway? What's the middle ground? What's the middle path? Surely it is the heart. It's roughly halfway in the physical body between the two, between the mind and the gut. So it really has to come from the heart. So this raising of the Christ consciousness, the fall of man, so that's your lower self-conscious mind, does need to fall. It needs to drop from roughly where the mind's eye is. And it needs to drop past the communication of the throat chakra, down to the heart chakra. That drops 2 places. The gut only needs to be raised by 1. So this, you've got an expression of 3 and 1 being shown there. 1 raises up, 2 drop down. So you could also see this as the angel and the demon on your shoulder. You let them fall a little bit, because you have to hit rock bottom, because that is the cornerstone that the builders rejected on which to build. They rejected it because it's not in the material world. It's the philosopher's tone. It's all in frequency. It's an internal philosophy with inside oneself. This is all an internal dialogue, really. All I'm doing is vocalizing it, using the throat chakra to communicate it. Effectively, if you see the world as like a field, look at what's presented in the external world. There's a lot of manure, a lot of muck, that because a seed won't grow unless the conditions are right. So you have to wade through a lot of shit. And also, well, that's just one perspective, but if you see it not as shit, if you see it as the nutrients, and you're now planting seeds, then ideally you should start to see some growth being reflected. That's the whole purpose of these videos. Because if you're really serious about doing anything on this spiritual path, it's no good being, let's use an analogy here, it's no good being, I've just passed my driving test, so now I'm going to be a driving instructor. There's something critically missing there, and that's experience. The only way you're going to be able to teach is to go through experiences. You have to put yourself through the experiences. Some of them might not be very pleasant, but you can come out the other side of it. And again, I'm speaking from experience. Let's talk about depression, let's talk about anxiety, let's talk about panic attacks. I already have on videos. Maybe I'll go over them again, because I feel that they will benefit somebody out there, because I can talk about it from coming out the other side of it, where it's not this horrible, terrifying thing that you're now going through. And the panic attack, for example, it took me, I think, 3 of them before I even realised that's what it was. I'd heard the expression, but we'll go over that on another video. It comes back to what I've said previously about a teacher is only as good as the interaction, as the experience, the interaction with the students, but this is all an inside job. It is all intuition. It is divine intuition. You notice in the word divine, between the V and the E. The V is representing the falling, the E is the energy, it's in. So your angel and demon basically have to fall, both of them, because you want to keep things in balance. So that's coming down from the mind to the heart. Now your gut feeling just needs to be raised up one place, basically. But I can only talk about it in a way as I'm giving you a concept. It is up to you to do the work. Now the thing with the things coming in threes, let's use the sniper analogy. 1, to see the light, 2, take aim, 3, to pull the trigger. Apply that with these videos, not just these videos, with anything that you listen to. And hopefully it's something that you're listening to it because you feel it's going to benefit you. So take a Rudolf Steiner lecture or take a Neville Goddard lecture. There's 2 examples. Don't just listen to them once. Don't just listen to them twice. Listen to them 3 times. That will give you the concept. But that's like an actor just getting a script being shown. It's like having a quick once over and saying, yeah. How good is that actor going to be able to play that part? A good actor will become that part, will live it and breathe it. This is a world stage after all. But what role are you going to play? Because the sky's the limit on this. I would advise that you pick a star role and pick a good one. Now start emulating it, but don't expect it to happen overnight. We're all different. Time has no meaning. It's not, you're no good at it. It's taken you 50, 60 years to get to this level. That person's only taken 20 years to get. Forget all that. It's not how long it takes, but think about also the other side of it. The one that's taken 60 years to get to that realization point has gone through a hell of a lot more experience than the one that's 20. Unless the one at 20 has had a very full and active life and had loads and loads of experiences, because there are some. I'm not going to write everybody off. I can think readily of a few people that are going through their Saturn return first time round after 30 years. There's an awful lot more going through it second time round on the 60 years, but there's also a lot that probably won't get it till third time round, and probably some that don't get it at all. This is this Sarah having a baby at 70 years and 90 years old. I mean, don't take these things literally. In the material, it's a metaphor. That's all it is. It's just a way of explaining things in the language of a time. But if you want to crucify yourself to a belief system, by all means do. There's no skin off my nose. I don't care one way or the other. What I do care about are those that are willing to take the active steps within inside themselves because they're ones that are worth helping, giving a hand up to. And that isn't being judgmental, because it's your currency. Your liquid gold is something that's finite. It is the time you have. So it will be an awful wasted effort to try and help someone who's going to be close-minded or willfully ignorant and who is not going to accept anything apart from what they believe in. So you're not here to change the world, but it's also learn to accept what you can change and also to accept what you cannot change. So that university professor who's built the lifelong career based on repeating a script, do you think he or she is going to budge 1 inch? Good luck trying. Try it with a clergyman as well. See how far you get with that as well. But it's actually a bit of fun, because you actually make them more determined. And that can also then have a knock-on effect that they become so determined they become off-putting. So it's no bad thing. Do what the system does. Set up a win-win, basically. Something that is going to benefit you, but you can do it in a benevolent way as well. Maybe that isn't such a benevolent way, but it is in a way if you think about it, because if you're setting things up that is making that person more determined to follow that belief system, and in turn that belief system and how that person acts is going to become off-putting and not going to recruit others into what is basically this or that cult, because that's all they are. It's quite disgusting what they do. Preying on the vulnerable. It's all about praying in religion. But the P-R-E-Y, not the P-R-A-Y. Same sound, just a different spell. Looks to be one thing, but is actually the opposite. And this is, we're in a realm of contrast. It comes down to that discernment. Discern inside oneself. It is, after all an inside job. So, I hope that has helped some of you out there. Incidentally, I'm also guesting on Sun and Moon Family United channel, saying similar messages, but you get a visual there as well. And Karen's done a very good one, just working around what I've said and putting up numbers and things, and that's art. That's good, and it reaches a wider audience this way. Because it comes back to what I said on, I think it was number 16, about being selfish, because that realization that we are all one, ultimately I am helping myself by helping, or trying to help as many of you as I can. And you don't have to stand on the side of a hill and shout from the top of your voice. You've got various platforms you can use. How beautiful is that? And look where they've come from. But does it make them a bad thing because of where they come from, or are you putting a judgment on it, or is it just a tool that you can use? Is it something that serves you? Basically, comes back to that again. Everything comes round in circles. Ultimately, it's the flower of life pattern. It's the petals. They all loop back. And it's all going on inside oneself. Right, I think we're in this video here. There's plenty more to be said. There's plenty more to share, because sharing is caring. And I hope that you have got something out of this. And I'm actually going to remember to say it this time. All donations gratefully received and would be a great help. I'm not going to lie, I'm not going to bullshit. There's a material world. I've not got to the stage where I'm a breatharian. That was a long way off, if at all achievable. I'm not saying it's not achievable. I'm saying, is there enough lifespan left in this physical body to actually achieve it. I'm not so sure on that. I'm going to be realistic. But do I really want to even go to that as well? Because this reality is about going through experiences. And am I to put a judgment that everything that you consume, and I'm talking about food, drinks, orange juice, lemon juice, for example, or coffee, whatever. If life is all about experiences, are we supposed to give them all up? I'm not saying you should or shouldn't. I'm just saying weigh that up inside oneself. But ultimately, I suppose the ultimate of being a breatharian is to just be a disembodied spirit. Because bear in mind, you've got these physical avatars. Now, some of you might say, yeah, but you're actually using energy to digest things. Well, it depends what you're eating as well. But it depends how you want to be a ruler over your avatar. Do you want to be a tyrant, or do you want to be benevolent? And that isn't a cop-out of give in to an addiction. It's saying, listen to what the body is communicating. And do you know that craving to be an addiction, or is that a genuine communication from the body? That's something else to weigh up as well. Right, we're coming up to 22 minutes, so we'll call it a day on this video. Finally. Love to you all.